Can we record it? Yeah. Hello. So, my name's Matthew Drew, and this is my first live. I'm an author, and I wrote two books, two little children's books. One is called A Little Dog's Life, about my little dog, me and my little dog Pepsi. It's not coming up because the green screen's coming up in the back. But anyway, I'll read that one in a sec. That's the one we got up there. That's the second one, Tiny Dog's Life. That's Chloe. I think she's behind me somewhere. Chloe? Are you there? Chloe? Chloe? She is there. She's behind me somewhere. She's about that big. So Pepsi is obviously, he's a small-ish dog about that big, and then Chloe's tiny. So that's why I called them A Little Dog's Life and A Tiny Dog's Life. And I'm just not there. The books aren't showing up because of the green screen. But we can fix that later. Shall we read the first book, A Little Dog's Life? I'm going to look down and try and read it at the same time as moving this over here, so that you can follow me. So I'm going to try and do two at once, see if this works. Now, I've never read this before. Well, I've never read it live. I've read it before, so we'll give it a go. Okay, so this is part of the Adventures of the Pepsi series. I've written quite a lot of books, but they're all obviously just in Word documents. These two have obviously been published. They're on Amazon, in England, all over the world. Amazon US, UK, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Poland, Japan, Australia, New Zealand. You can find them everywhere. The website adventuresofpepsi.com, which is it's on my link there, adventuresofpepsi.com. That links to the American site and to the UK site. I mean, I can stick the other ones up for Australia and all that, but for now, let's read the books. So it's called A Little Dog's Life by Matthew Drew. Alright, I've got to switch it here. So Pepsi, I'm going to read everything. Pepsi is a little brown and white dog, a Lhasa Apso cross, who lives with Matt and Ruth and Connor. They all make one big happy family and look after and love one another. Pepsi is learning all about the world and how to be safe. Do you want to read about some of Pepsi's adventure? Well, read on. That's his paw print. This book was written in memory of Pepsi Drew, who was my best friend for 15 years. I've signed my one, so this is actually signed, but that's his paw print because he passed away, unfortunately, 1 week before I published. So that's a sad story, but we'll talk about that another time. Now, chapter 1, I'm going to skip these writings and I'm going to give you the pictures. And I'm going to read this. So, let's start there. Pepsi always went to work with Matt. It was more fun than staying at home all day. Today, it had been raining when they got home, and there were puddles and muddy patches everywhere. "Don't jump in the mud," said Matt. Pepsi looked at the mud and sighed. Then he ran to a puddle instead. "No," Matt yelled, but too late. Pepsi was jumping and splashing in the puddle. And, there was mud at the bottom of the puddle. Pepsi was normally white with a few brown patches. Now he was brown all over. At last, he got tired of playing in the puddle and wanted to run into the house to sleep on the couch while Matt watched TV as usual. But Matt scooped him up instead. "You need a bath, Pepsi," he said. Soon Pepsi was sitting in the warm bath, all covered in bubbles. Let's go to the next page. He whined sadly. He didn't like baths. You shouldn't have got all dirty then, explained Matt. Woof, agreed Pepsi, wagging his tail just the smallest bit. But then Matt rinsed off all the bubbles and wrapped Pepsi in a towel, rubbing him dry and then brushing him until he was all sleek and smooth. There, said Matt. Now you can sit on the couch with me. Yay! Chapter 2. Stay off the road, Pepsi. Pepsi was used to being in Matt's van. In winter, the windows were kept closed, but in summer they were open and Pepsi could put his nose out and smell all the interesting things. People and places that they were passing. When they were getting in and out of the van, though, Matt would warn Pepsi, "Stay off the road, Pepsi." And usually he was very good about being careful near the roads. One day Connor was with them because school was closed. "Stay close," said Matt. "You and Pepsi look after each other, okay?" "Yes, Dad," said Connor. "Woof," said Pepsi. On a side note, it took me 5 years to teach him to stay off the road, and he was really good at that. Okay, so Pepsi lay down, watching Matt work as usual. Connor went to look around. He looked at the houses, and he looked at the gardens, and he looked at the trees. Then, "Oh boy," said Connor, "there's a cat. I'm going to say hello." He ran towards the cat, which got a fright and ran away, right across the road. Connor ran after it. "Hey, no," he said. "I'm sorry, I just want to say hello." Pepsi saw a big lorry coming, right towards Connor, who had run on the road. "Woof, woof, woof!" Matt looked up at the same time that Connor did. "Off the road, Connor!" Matt yelled. "Oh no!" said Connor, running back to Pepsi. Whoosh! The big lorry roared past. "Pepsi," Matt said, "you saved Connor. Thank you." This is chapter 3. Always listen to Matt and Ruth. Or Ruth and Matt, actually. I'll read it. Ruth and Matt were going shopping. Pepsi wanted to go. "Okay," said Matt, but you're gonna have to listen to us." "Woof," agreed Pepsi, wagging his fluff on his tail. But shopping was really boring for a dog. There were lots of walking slowly and looking at things, and they didn't even smell interesting. Ruth was going into yet another shop. Pepsi stopped walking and wriggled his head out of his collar and lead. Let's go to the next picture. There we go. Freedom! He ran up and down the pavement, smelling at all the interesting things he loved. "Pepsi! Pepsi!" Ruth and Matt rushed towards Pepsi, and Matt picked him up. "That was naughty. It's not safe for you to run around like this." Pepsi looked so sad and sorry that that they forgave him straight away, and they all went home and cuddled on the couch. Pepsi was very tired and took a long nap, snuggled between Ruth and Matt. This is chapter 4. Brush your teeth, Pepsi. Matt woke up when his alarm went off. Pepsi sat up and looked at him hopefully. "Come on then, let's get ready for work." Pepsi was so happy to be going with Matt that he ran forward and licked Matt right on the nose. "Ugh," Matt said. "Pepsi, your breath is terrible. You need to brush your teeth." Pepsi didn't want to brush his teeth. It sounded horrible. Where's the next picture? Ah, there it is. But then Matt said, "Look, I'm going to brush my teeth first, and then we'll brush yours with your very own toothbrush and special toothpaste for dogs." Pepsi watched Matt brush his teeth. It looked okay, he decided. It wasn't fun, really, but it didn't hurt, and the dog toothpaste was quite nice. It tasted like peanut butter. At last, Matt stopped brushing and said, "There, now your breath smells nicer. Let's go to work." Pepsi led the way, tail wagging and tongue panting, happy that his teeth were all clean and shiny. That's the next chapter. Chapter 5. Someone saying, "Hi, nice to see you." Hello. So chapter 5 is this one. One day, Matt said, "Come on, Pepsi, let's go out." Pepsi thought they were going to work and ran up to the van, waiting for Matt to lift him in. But Matt chuckled instead. "No, Pepsi, we're walking today. Come on." Pepsi ran after Matt and looked all around as they walked along. There was a fascinating hedge that smelled amazing. And here was a tree where other dogs had gone. You know. I know. This is a double page here. This was a double picture. Yes, it is. So this is a double picture, so I'll try and get both in for you guys. So Pepsi went. Who's in? How many people are in? Oh, hello. Everyone's joining in. Welcome, everyone. I'm reading a book that I wrote about called A Little Dog's Life. So this is my first book that I've ever written. And so I've decided I'm doing a reading. And those are the pictures over there. There. That way. It looks like it's actually on that side by mine, but it's on that side. Anyway, page 24. It's got 55 pages. Pepsi went to, because that's how dogs tell each other stuff, like a dog internet on every tree. But soon Matt went into a big park. It was beautiful. "Go on there," said Matt, taking Pepsi off the leash. "Run around and have fun." Oh boy, there were other dogs too. Pepsi ran over to them and made friends with everyone. And then there's the next page. Look at that. He played for an hour, running and barking and playing. It was great. Finally, tired out, he ran back to Matt and flopped down at his feet. Matt had brought some water and Pepsi drank thirstily. Then he yawned hugely. "Oh, tired?" asked Matt with a smile. "Let's go home and have a nap." And that's what they did. Next chapter, chapter 6. Buckle up, Pepsi. So I'll go straight to the pictures for you guys. So that page says Buckle up, Pepsi. One day, Matt was driving on a very bumpy road, and they were visiting a new customer. Pepsi sat up, and he enjoyed the sights of the world rushing by. Whoosh. But then, suddenly, as they hit a bump, a cow stepped out into the road. Matt slammed on the brakes, and he was thrown forward across his seatbelt. But Pepsi wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and he fell into the footwell. "Oh no, Pepsi," he said. He steered safely past the cow and pulled over the side of the road, hurrying to check on Pepsi. There's the cow. Pepsi was scared and shaken, but he wasn't hurt. "Oh, thank goodness," said Matt. "Right, Pepsi, you must wear a seatbelt, just like me from now on." He carefully arranged the seatbelt so that it would fit on a small dog, like Pepsi, and then buckled him in. Then he carried on driving. Matt had to stop once or twice for more cows, but Pepsi's seatbelt held firmly in place, and he was very happy with that. Looks better in the book because you've actually got a full double spread with the if it will actually show. No, it won't. No, it won't. But it does look better on the book. Right, chapter 7. How do we get to chapter 7? There we go. Don't run off, Pepsi. This is also double. It does the double page spread. So there's the there's the double page spread. There's Pepsi, and then it actually goes on to this, which is a butterfly, and footprints everywhere. Pepsi and Matt were working. Sorry, dropped my mic. It was a long and difficult job. Pepsi got bored while watching Matt. He wandered a little way off to sit in the shade. Then he saw a pretty butterfly. So he followed it. It flapped away, and then he saw a squirrel. He chased the squirrel, and it ran to the ground. Maybe Pepsi could catch it. He ran after it, but the squirrel ran up the tree before he could get close to it. Then Pepsi smelled something interesting, so he followed the trail, wondering where it was. But it also vanished, like the butterfly and the squirrel. Pepsi thought he might as well go back to Matt. But which way was it? He didn't know. Pepsi went a little bit this way, and then he went a little bit that way, but he couldn't find his own trail. He had walked it over and around so many times. Oh, it's getting interesting. So Pepsi sat down, threw his head back and howled. Ooh! Footsteps came running in his direction. Thump, thump, thump. Pepsi! It was Matt. Pepsi ran up to him and jumped in his arms, shivering and wagging his tail. He was so happy to see Matt. He did this all the time. Pepsi, said Matt, hugging Pepsi close. Don't run off like that. I was so worried. And Pepsi decided he would always stay close to Matt, no matter how boring it got. Chapter 8. Learning to swim. There's Pepsi, and there's me. Ruth, Matt, and Pepsi were having a picnic. They were at a campsite with barbecue places, a swimming pool, and lots of games. Ruth and Matt were wearing their swimming costumes. They chose a table and they told Pepsi, stay. He watched them go to the pool. They got in the pool. Pepsi stood up in surprise, and they were all getting wet. Woof, woof, he barked, urgently trying to warn them that they were getting wet. The next one's a double page spread. There it is. So it's broken in half, but it looks like one big one. Matt vanished under the water. Woof, 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 said Pepsi. Ruth laughed a little. It's okay, Pepsi, we're swimming. Matt popped up again next to Ruth. Matt, we should teach Pepsi to swim. Good idea. He got out of the pool and carried Pepsi to the water. He put Pepsi down on the steps so he could stand in the water. It felt kind of nice. Ruth said, hey, Daniel. Where was I? It felt kind of nice. Ruth said, come to me, Pepsi, and put her hands out. Matt lifted Pepsi off the steps and put him in the water. Pepsi's legs started kicking and he moved through the water to Ruth. You're swimming, said Ruth. Well done, Pepsi. Well done, Pepsi, said Matt, swimming after him. They all swam until they were hungry for delicious lunch that Matt had packed. That just shows Pepsi swimming. It's a double page spread. Can you? I don't know if you can see it. I'll fix that. That just looks... Right, chapter 9. Where are we? This one says Pepsi's favourite time of the day. This one's also a double page spread. So this is the first side, and then this is the second one as they're going up the stairs. I'll read it to you anyway. You look at the pictures. At the end of every day, after they had watched TV and eaten a meal, Ruth, Matt and Pepsi went to bed. First Ruth went upstairs and had a bath and put on her frilly nightdress. Then Matt would go all around the house, making sure all the windows and doors were closed. Then he would make sure that Pepsi had water and biscuits in case he got hungry in the middle of the night. And that was when he said, "Righto, Pepsi, the house is all locked up. Shall we go up?" And there they are, going up. And Pepsi would run to him and they would go upstairs together. Matt would go and brush his teeth and get ready for bed, while Pepsi went to scramble on the bed next to Ruth, who was usually reading. They would snuggle for a while, and then Matt would come in looking funny in his pyjamas. And he would climb into bed and give Ruth a kiss, and he would rub Pepsi's head. Look at that, they're going up the stairs. Good night. So it's good night, Ruth, he said. Good night, Pepsi. Ruth turned her light off while Pepsi went to lie in between Ruth and Matt by the feet. Good night, Matt. Good night, Pepsi. And Pepsi would curl up happily, thinking, good night, everybody. Chapter 10. Learn to share. Oh, there's Chloe. Matt was looking after a friend's dog. This dog was a little and cute, and Pepsi didn't like her at all. She would sleep in his favourite places, drink from his water bottle, and then even eat his food. When Pepsi saw her doing that, he would growl at her. Rrr. But if Ruth or Matt were around, they would pick him up and say, "Learn to share, Pepsi. Poor Chloe is hungry." Pepsi wanted Chloe to go away, or at least not use his things. This was his house, not hers. So next one is a double page. Actually, it's quite a lot of little pictures. So I'll try and get you all the pictures there. Okay, so early one morning, Pepsi wanted a biscuit. So he went to get one. But just as he went in the kitchen, there was Chloe, about to eat his last biscuit. "Grrr," said Pepsi. Chloe froze, and the biscuit hanging out of her mouth. Then sadly, quietly, she dropped the biscuit and walked, head down, her towels tucked in, and to the back door. She sat and huddled over it. Pepsi felt bad. He wondered what it would be like if he was in Chloe's house and she kept growling at him. He wasn't being very nice, and he realized. He picked up the biscuit, carried it over to Chloe, dropped it next to her. Ah, she looked at him, and he nudged the biscuit even closer to her. He saw her mouth beginning to water and wind, telling her to eat it. Hungrily, Chloe picked up the biscuit and crunched her way through it. After that, Pepsi and Chloe were friends, and he was sad when it was time for her to go home again. But 2 days later, they came to visit, and they bought a huge box filled with Pepsi's favourite biscuits. Yum! And Pepsi shared them with Chloe whenever she came to visit. He loved sharing with friends. Oh! The end. So that is book 1. Took a while. How long did that take? 24 minutes to read. But that's book 1, called A Little Dog's Life. Now, we actually have a second book. If I click that, oh, look at that. That's my second one. A Tiny Dog's Life. So this one's brand new. It's only a couple of weeks old. I published it again on Amazon. This one's signed. How do I get it to? It keeps going blank. So this is A Tiny Dog's Life. Now this book is called A Tiny Dog's Life by Matthew Drew. I'm going to read this one as well. Just because I want to get them all into the recording, and then I can edit it as well from there onwards. So this is A Tiny Dog's Life by Matthew Drew. A Tiny Dog's Life. We don't need to read that. That's the same as the blurb. What's missing is the dedication, which isn't there. This one is actually dedicated to my partner Ruth. It says, "Thank you for being my constant support and inspiration throughout this journey." The journey of the 2 books so far. Still got 3 more to do this year. If you like the books, click like and follow. Have a look at the website adventuresofpepsi.com. It's a pity I didn't actually put it on here. Okay. So this one's nice and easy to read because it's going to be right there. I could probably read it off there. Meet Chloe. She's the newest member of the family. Can I make this bigger? Oh. Meet Chloe. She is the newest member of the family, joining Matt, Ruth and Connor and their lovable dog Pepsi. Despite her tiny size, Chloe has a big personality and is always eager to explore and discover new things. Today, she is sitting on the couch with her big, curious eyes. Oh. Matthew, Ruth and Connor and the 2 dogs, Pepsi and Chloe, decide to go for a walk in the park on a sunny Saturday afternoon. They're excited to get some exercise and enjoy the beautiful weather. Trying to change with one hand and change in the other. As they scroll along the path, they see a small black cat with one ear running around in circles, looking lost and confused. They approach the cat and see that his collar he has a collar with a name tag that reads Tufty. Tufty looks like Tufty is lost, said Matthew. Matthew says, "We should help him find his way home," Ruth suggests. Connor nods in agreement. The 3 introduce themselves to Tufty and offer to help him find his way home. Chloe wags her tail excitedly, happy to help. The group set off on their adventure, not knowing what challenges and obstacles they'll face on their way. I'm going to read it straight from the PDF because my hand's getting tired holding the book. As the group continues on the adventure, Chloe leads them through the park, following her nose as she sniffs her way home. They come across a pond where they see a group of ducks swimming in the water. Chloe barks happily and runs towards the ducks, wading in the shallows. "Whoa, Chloe, be careful," Ruth warns, running after her. "Chloe." I'm going to go get Chloe. Matthew and Connor follow behind, laughing at Chloe's playful antics. They watched as Chloe splashes around in the water, chasing after the ducks. After spending some time at the park, they continue their walk and come across a group of children playing. Chloe's ears perk up, and she bounds over to the children, wagging her tail and barking happily. The children giggle and pat Chloe, delighted to meet her. "Hey, do you guys know where Tufty's home is?" Matt asks the children. The children shake their heads, saying they don't know. They all find a shady spot under the tree and take a break and rest. Chloe, Pepsi and Tufty snuggle up to them, enjoying the peaceful scenery and the warm sun, grateful for each other's company. Feeling well rested, they continue their search. Soon they come across a farmer's market. The smell of fresh produce and baked goods fills the air, making Chloe's nose twitch with excitement. The group browse the stalls, sampling some of the goodies and chatting with the vendors. "Excuse me, do you know what happened? Do you happen to know where Tufty's home is?" Ruth asks a kind lady at the fruit stall. The lady shakes her head, saying she doesn't know. After their trip to the farmer's market, the group decide to relax at the beach. Chloe runs towards the sand and the water, excited to play. She digs in the sand and chases after the waves, happy to be in the sun. The group watch her smiling and enjoy the moment. Got a whole book about that. A few moments later, they continue their search. The search is not an easy one, and as they encounter a variety of challenges and adventures. They navigate through the dense forest using their map reading skills to find their way. They cross a fast-flowing river and using a rope bridge, balancing carefully to avoid falling in. Despite all of these, they remain determined to find Tufty's home. They encourage and support each other, working as a team. That's teamwork. We missed the other picture because I had to read that. But that goes on with there because it's a double page spread. And there's Tufty. The group continues their journey with Chloe leading the way. They have to navigate through a city with Chloe barking and wagging her tail, determined to find Tufty's home. Chloe's enthusiasm is evident as she leads the group through the crowded streets, her nose to the ground and her tail wagging with confidence, never hesitating for a moment. Next, they visit a pet store, where Chloe interacts with different products and animals. She sniffs and wags her tails, trying to see everything. The group marvels at all the wonderful varieties on display, enjoying this new experience. It smells so great in a pet store. After a long day of travelling, the group set up camp for the night. All the pets snuggle up, happy to be together, and they enjoy a peaceful scenery and warm fire. I think they're all sleeping over there, or Pepsi is. They set out early the next day, hoping that they will find Tufty's home. And there's no and. They come across a beautiful waterfall, and Chloe and Pepsi's ears perk up. They run over to the waterfall, wagging their tails and barking happily. The group follows them and spends some time playing in the water, having fun and a refreshing time. As they continue their search, they suddenly find themselves faced with a fierce storm. Oh no. Chloe starts barking and running around frantically, trying to find shelter for her and her family. There they are. The group huddled together, trying to protect Chloe, Pepsi and Tufty from the heavy rain and strong winds. Chloe's determination to find safety for everyone never wavers, even as the storm rages on. Finally, they come across a warm and cozy cabin where they can take shelter from the storm. Wow, this cabin is a lifesaver. I don't think we could have lasted much longer out there in the storm, Matthew says. I agree. My feet are freezing, said Ruth nods. Thank goodness we found this place. Yeah, and look at Chloe. She's already making herself at home by the fire, Connor adds. Pepsi whines as if to say, can I come too? I'm cold. Matthew replies, of course, little buddy. Come here and snuggle up with Chloe and Tufty. As the storm calms, the group cook a meal with Tufty, cook a meal while Tufty the lost cat purrs contentedly in their company. Suddenly Matthew notices Tufty scratching at her collar and discovers a phone number on the back of the name tag attached to it. They call the number, and Tufty, relieved owner, who said his name is Malcolm, who has been searching for Tufty for some time. This doesn't match that because I've changed it. Malcolm arrives at the cabin and is overjoyed to be reunited with his feline companion. Chloe wags her tail happily, glad to have been part of the reunion. The group feel a sense of satisfaction having helped Tufty find his way back to Malcolm, and wave goodbye, wishing them a safe journey. After dinner, everyone gathered around to play games and tell stories. Chloe happily joined in, wagging her tail and barking excitedly. She shows off her special tricks, and everyone cheered and clapped for her. Finally, after a fun but tiring adventure, they arrived back home. The group sit together in the living room with Chloe snuggling up to Ruth, her tail wagging happily. The family are filled with love and happiness, thankful for all the adventures they shared and the memories they've made with their beloved dogs. It felt good to be back home at the cozy home with Chloe and Pepsi safe and sound. I've changed some of the words on this. I can see it. Tired from the adventure, they all settled down to sleep. Chloe and Pepsi curled up to the next to their owners, and they soon drift off to sleep, happy to have helped Tufty find his owner and have made new friends in Tufty the cat. It's been an eventful day, and they were all looking forward to a good night's sleep, dreaming of their next adventures. That's the end. Oh, look, read more books at adventuresofpepsi.com. I need to find the original PDF, the new one, because that wasn't all the version. It's pretty good, that. That's book 1 and 2. Where's it? There. That's book 2. That's book 1. A Little Dog's Life and a Tiny Dog's Life, and the Adventures of Pepsi. That introduces the first one. A Little Dog's Life introduces Pepsi, as you can hear, and A Tiny Dog's Life is basically just introducing Chloe. Then moving forward, book 3 is going to be Pepsi and Chloe visit Matrix. Matrix is my brother's dog. He's a pug. I think I've got a picture of him somewhere. I don't know how to get it up. It'll be there somewhere. We're live now, so we won't. But that's the 2 books, and thank you very much for listening. What I'll do is, the book 3, I'm going to try and finish that tonight. So maybe by next weekend we can have another reading. No, it'll be 2 weeks because I have to order it, and that takes a couple of weeks to get here. But I'll read these ones again. I think I'm going to try and get the screen sorted. We should get Chloe. I don't know where she is. That'll be fun. Cool. Thank you very much for your time and patience. See you later. Bye.